We're live.
Chop.
And they were to have someone's life short. And this was not just any other person, but
Can you check on Facebook?
an important person in our lives. A father, a mother, a father, a husband, a comrade, a leader, a community leader, and a revolutionary to the end. I'm not going to waste more time because we started late. My name is Comrade Nangilo Khane. Like Comrade Mapiti, I'm an activist of the ANC. I've been for a very long time. I am not going to bother you with speeches because we do have comrades that are designated to speak today. And I'm not going to. I'm going straight to the program, comrades, and call upon our alliance partners. I think we'll start with the younger ones. Fasimba, the Young Communist League of South Africa, through its provincial secretary, Comrade Khalo, more free to come and give us a message of condolences to the Mapiti family. Comrade Khalo.
Go to your send it to us. There's a link. Just click.
Manda. Away to. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Mapiti Matsena. Long live. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Mapiti Matsena. Long live. Manda. Away to. Yeah, thank you very much, Comrade Tangi. The leadership of the ANC Youth League, SASCO, the present, COSAS, and all the mother bodies, the African National Congress, the South African Communist Party, COSATU and SANCO, and most importantly, comrades, yourself that are here, would like to extend our revolutionary greetings on behalf of the Young Communist League of South Africa and Gauteng Province. I think, comrades, we are gathered here because of the news that we had in the early hours of the 16th of July, that one of our own, Comrade Mapiti, belongs to the ages. It was a very sad story that we had. And most importantly, the manner in which he met his demise was something that really concerned us as the Young Communist League of South Africa. But there are two things I think, comrades, we need to reflect about. Firstly, this is an act of criminality. And this act of criminality arises because of a system, a dehumanizing system of capitalism that values no life. All right, comrades. Capitalist system dehumanizes people. The manner in which it consolidated itself from 1652 and the arrival of Jan van Riebeeck and many others that have led to the great historic injustice in our country, to the colonialism of a special time, and consolidated itself in the apartheid South Africa, which we in the Communist Party and in the ANC later, through the strategy and tactics of the ANC since 1969, we conceptualized it as the colonialism of a special time. It's a system that dehumanizes people. How it came about, it was, advanced through genocides of our people. So the value of a, black person, the life of a black person, has never been, something to be valued by the system. Now, even research supports what we're talking about. The United Nations Human Development Index, it talks about the economic and human development. It says that where there is human development, the levels of crime are low, all right? And where human development is severely affected, that's where you see the rise in crime and many other things. I know there may be a different perspective in terms of how we have lost Comrade Mapiti, but the reality of the matter is that between, I think the other day we were discussing about how our South African society is deeply violent. And we were saying that in the year 2017 and 18, South Africa registered 21,000 murders, and close to 2,000 was related to gender-based violence. So we are a society that is deeply, violent. Secondly, we are told by research that there is a relationship between human development and crime, and that our inability to, deal with immediate challenges, structural features in our economy that make Black people and young people and many of South Africans, and particularly Africans in general and Black in particular, are at the receiving end of this triple crisis of, unemployment, poverty, and some of those challenges that we face. So we've got to really deal with some of these important things. And I want to go to the second aspect, that Comrade Mapiti, no one in this room or here where we are gathered can dispute the fact that Comrade Mapiti was a genuine revolutionary of our mass democratic movement. And why am I saying that? I would say that Comrade Mapiti, I don't want to go far. He has participated in the Youth League, he has led the Youth League in the region, has led the ANC as a branch secretary, has left and went to the region to serve as an additional member of the Regional Executive Committee of the ANC, went to serve as the deputy chairperson of the region. And I want to go fast forward because there are many speakers that are going to come and speak about Comrade Mapiti. There was a contest. There was a contest on who must become a mayoral candidate in Tshwane. And Comrade Mapiti made himself available as a cadre of the movement, guided by his spirit to serve the movement and the masses of our people. And unfortunately, that contest was dire. We've lost young people. I think we've buried Comrade Simon in Hammanskraal and several others as a result of the tension that arose. And the ANC saw it deemed fit that Comrade Mapiti and Comrade Hosien Soramokgopa must not be part of the candidates. There was a compromise candidate. But one thing that inspired confidence was to see Comrade Mapiti, despite having been denied the opportunity, having been nominated by the Regional Executive Committee of the ANC in terms of the ANC Constitution, he could not make it to the mayoral candidate, to be the mayoral candidate of the city of Tshwane. But Comrade Mapiti was always there at the forefront of campaigns when many others were demoralized by that outcome, could not come. And we've got to be honest about some of these things. But today we're not here to talk about what happened then. But I was trying to demonstrate the extent to which Comrade Mapiti demonstrated his commitment, his loyalty to the organization and the movement as a whole. And when we had challenges as the alliance, we had problems. The South African Communist Party, we did not always agree with the leadership of the ANC. But Comrade Mapiti made it his responsibility, even when he was not deployed by the ANC, to come and address gatherings of our South African Communist Party, gatherings of the Young Communist League. So Comrade Mapiti was committed to uniting the alliance when others did not see it important to respect the alliance. And I think for that we must really commend Comrade Mapiti for that. But what we were yearning for, our region is deeply divided. We are deeply divided. Comrade Mapiti has been part of these problems, and we were yearning for his leadership, so that because he was now serving as the Provincial Executive Committee and the PwC member of the ANC, we're looking forward to his leadership to help us resolve challenges that the region faces. Now, the region is deeply divided. No matter how much we want to talk about some of this, no matter how much we might want to downplay the issues, we are divided, and we were hoping that Comrade Mapiti will help us to unite our region. And unfortunately, we have lost him in this manner. I think comrades be comforted. The family of Comrade Matsena, the legislature where he was serving, let comrades be comforted mogapo o mogolo o wele re kwele bohloko taba tse di tlhagileng mo di rona tsebe ka go rialo re leboga sebaka se le go leboga ga ona ge e se wa selo re a leboga Thobela.
Thank you very much, Comrade Khamu. I think I might have made a small error in our opening remarks. I think we should have emphasized the reason why we're having this session and how it came about. So the ANC Youth League, there's a federal committee that was put together. And I think the Youth League decided, because they form part of that committee, we decided that to honor the well life lived of Comrade Mapiti, there's got to be a memorial service that is dedicated solely on the youth activism of Comrade Mapiti. And we're happy that the family also agreed. That is why we decided to have this. So there will be other memories and memorial services that are going to be held. I know the ANC memorial service is going to be on Wednesday, I think. Yes. So this was done purely to remember Comrade Mapiti as a youth activist. And amongst us, we've got leaders that he has led with. Some of you have mentored him, So they are going to be speaking. And we also have the family of Comrade Mapiti in our midst. With us here. So I am going to call the second speaker from SACP, the Deputy Secretary of the Communist Party in the region, Comrade Napempiri. Communist.
Yeah, thank you. Amanda comrades. Yeah, Rama comrade Cde Matsena family go mo tšegang. Wa isele go letse gore mogapo mogolo wele. No ka go ya hlakaro ya tša koma le motšabela yona. So re go mo tšegang mphato swele. Re go mo tšegang le Communist Party ya Motshwane. Comrade Mapiti was a very selfless cater of the liberation movement and a progressive nationalist within the ANC. In this sense, is that Comrade Mapiti, regardless of differences, even if he's in leadership position of the movement, will come to the Communist Party if the party have challenges in terms of events or any other activity, and donate some particular funds in the Communist Party. He helped the party a lot in the district, and we appreciate his leadership. He was selfless, very dynamic cater, very rooted, and very loyal to the liberation movement, to the core. That is Comrade Mapiti. And he was respecting cadres in the movement, in the alliance, regardless of their titles or the resources that they have. That is Comrade Mapiti. So, family ya Mapiti re leboga ge le re file ngwana lena go no go ragela mokgatlo le alliance mo Tshwane. Ra le leboga. But the Communist Party at the district level, it carries a thesis that we cannot go back to the crisis. Always go back to the crisis. We cannot always go to the crisis. I think the our Young Communist League Provincial Secretary tried to highlight that we come from 2016 crisis. So we cannot go back, always go to the crisis again. The Communist Party is not going to be part of the comrades that want to take us back in Swan. We cannot go back to the crisis of 2016 again. And the Communist Party also carry a thesis that we must rebuild our movement, both in practice, in action, organizationally, and politically, through reconfigured our lives. Then in this sense, we require the leadership of the movement in Swan to unite all progressive forces, MKKs, PYA, Communist Party, SANCO, and COSATU, Women's League. That is the leadership that we require in Swan. We cannot go back to the crisis before crisis, and we can go back into 2016 era again. We must rebuild our movement in action. So this message is from the Communist Party to say, let's rebuild our movement. And rebuilding our movement, we need this municipality back. And this is the efforts of the Youth League. It's the efforts of COSAT. It's the efforts of SANCO. It's the efforts of COSATU. It's the efforts of the Communist Party. It's efforts of the Women's League. It needs all progressive cadres, not one individual. It needs all of us. Rest in peace, Comrade Mapiti. We salute leadership.
Deputy Chair. Sanitize. Good luck.
Makomani sana COVID bana. Thank you very much, Comrade Nape, for making the time to come. I'm quickly going to call on Samko, the regional chairperson of Samko. Program because Keda is very active in one WhatsApp group there. Comrade Mashish.
Amandla. Matla. Long live the spirit of Comrade Mapiti. Long live. Maitsine, ANC, Maitsine. Thank you very much, Comrade. I think more also we are from a fellow Mogol Solarina, that is Comrade Pitis. Arasa not Fonama Comrade. That is the last celebration of our leader, Comrade Mapiti. Regular Shoko leadership, regular Shoko Matsena. Kalisolele, Venera Milelona. Lady and Latamaya Catalain or Versa expect the regularly qua would deliver a bomb Shobora, which our heritage in Politicina. Babamba and Nara, I Taylor Politicam, Hoyam, Hostogam, Oka, One Canarana or Batuadi, Valisolele, Babele Varare. Tabela ki se le morsidira le ka mwana wa bona le rena re ANC re le SANCO le ba semphato re kule bohloko ba ra thaba ka se diragetseng particularly mo pele ga mokgekolo le mosadi ya gagwe mmagwe Sebelega yena le sholele ditsoya ye e dira bompego mo pele ga batswadi le matswala ile ka South Africa. Letswalo la rena le ile kae ge motho a tsena ka mogare ga lapa la motho mo a reng gore o tšhabetse gona ke botšhabelo ba gago ba mafelelo o tlo tlantla ke selalong ka mphaka mara re thabile thata ene re swantse re itiele ba maphodisa letsogo gore Comrade Tlanti, the work that they've done extremely well. O tracker the suspect within 48 hours. When we get this media statement from the police to say they've launched a lockdown here this man, Berna kana hore tlo sona le tsa go senzo meia. Ya ba go Mapiti o jile ke a retsa. But we must be very proud of our police and say job well done. Mushumo mo botse ba o dirileng ska ba mo a Matsena fela ebe batho ka moka ba eleng gore o sa ka ba boetapele o ba marena ba latlhega ba kgone go treka dilalome tse ka pela ba ba sware ba ye go sekiko ba itse because it over a trend ya gore motho a ska a tshaba go latella motho ka ga mmala. Tomorrow re tlo kwa gore motho o latelletse the president ka go latella ga ga fitla mkgaola go. It must be an example that these people must get a very harsh sentence, irrespective of what the comrade has done to this slalom. Auna mata auncha mutumoya. Aswa awa bupakwe. So rele sanko re ba ga Matsena kumutsega re lalelena senatla se wile mogapo mogolo o robetse re paletse go disa. And the KPA comrade Mapiti wa ibula motswali. We are not sure what it was like a mango. And the young communist league, Babulate Rata Mobona, Communist Party Rata Mosalamabona, Rehopela unity by Tapi. Especially the leader of the alliance, ANC. Rehopela unity amongst ourselves. Because the way we are divided, this municipality is let's make sure we comrade Mapiti Morobata Gafoto, celebrate the Kula or more which on. I would ever come while we are united and we want to get that city back, irrespective of our political differences. We are making this appeal to the ANC to unite us. Irrespective of man or Leleman with Aramang, I want to wait let the ANC take a front role to make sure we unite the alliance. Especially as Sanko, we are bleeding. Starting from national. We are sending this message to say Comrade Ace Magashule must make sure that he unites Sanko. In the province, Sanko must be united. The ANC must take a lead. Comrade Kao and Comrade Makura must take a lead. Because we all know that Comrade Askarababu Marana Uruj. We are aware that the ANC conference Nelson George the leadership. The same applies to these NDM structures. We are aware that Sanko was elected in the province by St. George's, where Comrade Gwen was deployed there. We know that Sanko in Chuan was elected when leadership of the ANC was here. There's no confusion. Why Comrade must confuse yourself to say, when you talk about Sanko, say, Rulala Sanko. There's no two Sankos here. Sanko is one. And if the ANC had already electionally so divided, so paralyzed, because they are the one who influencing this division, because they want to benefit with this factional battle. And we are not going to achieve community. History will judge us. We'll go back to 2016. Here we now the comrade Lesero as the chairperson of the Youth League and the PC member. When you deal with the issue of Sanko in Gauteng, you must rise about to say, comrade, but we went to the conference of Sanko in St. George's. What is the problem now? You are confusing us. What is the problem? We know one structure that was being elected. So therefore, this tendency will go back and say, pronounce and say, comrade, you've got two structures. So we are pleading with the leadership of the ANC to say, unity must prevail amongst MDM structures, and that must be led by the ANC. And when we go to the elections, you take all the MDM structures. Because what Tamakama Solana is divided, Abamba Yapo. well objective. And we are saying, comrade, let's go back to the council. The issue at the court is not going to work for us. It does not do justice. We must just forget it about the issue at the court and the like. We are making an appeal to the leadership of the province, the executive council of Gauteng, to make sure that they go back and withdraw that appeal. And take these people to council. So council must go and lead, and we go to the elections. So for that matter, comrade, I'm saying, comrade Mapiti Matsena, if we are going to unite and make sure that are divided because of resources, Amanda,
Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairperson of Sanco, Mfwani. Could we going to call COSATU in the province to come and speak in that one?
Ulele swela wokokobe, ulele swela bantu abamnyama, ulele swela wokokobe, ulele swela bantu abamnyama, ulele swethambo, ulele swela bantu abamnyama. Ulele swethambo, ulele swela bantu abamnyama, ulele.
Manta. Viva COSATU, viva. Viva the ANC Youth League, viva. Amanda. Away, two. The leadership of Program Director. My name is J.N. Mukwena, Johannes Nkiti Mukwena. I'm a Deputy Chairperson of the region of COSATU in Tshwane. I'm a PC member leading the local of Kongwini. I want to say leadership of Women's League, the leadership of Youth League in the province led by Comrade Changi, the Youth League in the region led by Comrade Liseko, the leadership of COSAS, the leadership of YCL led by Comrade Khabo, leadership of SAMCO led by Comrade Duhotlana Mashishi, the leadership of PYA, I'm told they are led by Bafana and Chapo. The veterans led by Comrade Juni Mutala. The leadership of all structures, all formations. The family of Comrade Mapiti. From COSATU on behalf of the region, we are greeting all of you, Amanda. Comrade, without any waste of time, Comrade Mapiti is known to us as the structure of alliance. He is the only person in the region that has stood up and made sure that he moves side by side, unite the alliance until to the core, until today, comrade. We are deeply affected by the sudden death of our leader, Comrade Mapiti. At the time of his death, he was deployed at the province as the chairperson of community safety, where he is responsible for making sure that he fight crime in this country. You will recall a person like Mapiti, we expected a lot from him, working with the MEC of community safety, Comrade Faith Mazmu. You will recall, comrade, in this country, Johannesburg, Pretoria. There is a crime that I think I must disclose today, that the drug lords are winning us. The drug lords, all of us being leaders, were failing to making sure that we surrender them, that they must be arrested and deployed home back where they come from. There is crime in this country. At the time of the death of this comrade, there was a restrictions of COVID-19 that they did not even adhere to. You look into the time of the death and the attack when the comrade was assassinated, it was beyond 9 o'clock. You go to Dobsonville, a mother and a granddaughter has been attacked, they raped. There's a high crime of gender-based violence. People has gone mad, comrade. So this death, this funeral, this memorial service come at the time that in South Africa, we are in deep problem. We are losing weight. People are suffocating with hunger in this country. The death is moving so high in the country, and many people are infected by COVID-19. Matsena, we have lost a soldier, a father, a brother, a person that you can trust, a person that you can make him a soldier to cry. The person of the caliber of Mapiti, as the alliance, we have noted that through him we can still have a say in the elections of this. The person of Mapiti, when you talk about deployment, he was honest. I don't want to lie. We have lost a family, Yamapiti. Negeri alala telo le lebangwe. Really alliance ba botile rutuye retile mo pela lona mo. The men of that caliber, Mapiti, we expected much from him, more so that he was in a strategic position of making sure that he was going to turn around this province to make that crime, that high crime, to make sure that he finished it. So, may his soul rest in peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comrade Sol, you lead us to that Ngoma as we welcome a PC member of the ANC, former ANC Fleet Chair. Former ANC Fleet Chairperson in Gauteng, currently PWC member and MEC of Caucus, Comrade Lebogang Maile. Because you understand, comrades, that we live in different times, we are also connected live on Facebook. We also have a WebEx. So Comrade Lebogang is here with us. In fact, not just him, Comrade Lebogang and many other comrades who are going to speak here. Former President of the Youth League, Comrade Sai is also here, going to speak. For Comrade Madumi. So everyone is here, even those that you can't see physically. Comrades are attending this memorial service. So I'm going to connect Comrade Lebogang, who I thought will do a projector, but because of the sun and the environment, it did not work out. But I want to connect him now. Comrade Chair, are you here?
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, I think that's brilliant.
So you need to connect. Yeah, we can hear you. We're about to connect you. We'll tell you to start speaking.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can sing while we are connecting, comrades. Nicholas. Your phone is connected, right? Yes. You are able to hear. So maybe let me just. Yeah, we got it. Oliver. Now you can switch off. Chairperson, Comrade Lebza, you can come in.
Can I speak now?
You can speak. Yeah, you may speak, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Comrade Tlangi, the program director, Comrade Lesego, the co-program director. Let me start by conveying my deepest condolences to the members of the bereaved family, and acknowledge the presence of the former president of the ANC Youth League and the now member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, Comrade Malusi Gigaba. Acknowledge the leaders of the various alliance structures that are present today, the Progressive Youth Alliance leadership, the leadership of both the student and the youth movement from various generations and different levels that are here with us today. We want to acknowledge and appreciate the opportunity being given to us by the leadership of the Youth League in Tshwane to share, or rather pay tribute to one of our own, our fellow revolutionary, fellow combatant, Comrade Mapiti. Upon receiving the devastating news of the passing on of Comrade Mapiti, one was reminded of the poignant words of the prominent 20th century Turkish Marxist-Leninist poet and playwright Nazim Hikmet, who once said, and I quote, "My heart can't accept such a death, and I will go to my grave regretting nothing but an unfinished song," close quote. We gather today to mourn the unfinished song that was Comrade Mapiti's life, taken from us when he was truly about to enter his prime, a bright light in our revolution that was brutally switched off before it could shine its brightest, with the manner of his death leaving us in greater grief. This is a sad moment for all of us in Gauteng. We have lost a cadre who was the epitome of that cliché about being a soldier in the revolution. Comrade Mapiti was a grounded political activist, steeped in community struggles and entrenched as a leader that was recognized and acknowledged as one by our people. The lives he has impacted, the many people he has helped without looking for any public acclaim, attest to that. In Comrade Mapiti, we are reminded of the essence of true leadership and revolutionary struggle, being at one with the people at the time when the popular narrative seeks to suggest that we have become distant and aloof from the people as an organization. May we, in reflecting upon his revolutionary life and activism, remind ourselves to follow his example and reconnect with the people to help advance their best interests. Comrade Mapiti was a man of profound human values who dedicated himself to the bettering of the lives of others. He was a master tactician and a political strategist, and was a real pillar of strength and wisdom to the ANC Caucus in Tshwane, especially during the time we have recently spent in opposition benches. Many that worked with him in council speak of his exceptional understanding and mastery of local government processes, its rules and orders. Upon being deployed to the Gauteng legislature, he took to his work there with the same passion, devotion, and zeal that he has always exhibited when executing any revolutionary task assigned to him. He was a tireless revolutionary with a work ethic that was second to none. He was a guerrilla that you could take to the battle in the full knowledge that he will not retreat nor surrender, but will die with his boots on. We mourn his passing because in his death, the revolution has lost a leader of note, an exemplary activist. In the language of our revolutionary struggle, in Comrade Mapiti's death, the movement has lost a true commander of the motive forces, especially in Tshwane. We have lost a resolute and very principled cadre. His family has lost a husband, a father, a brother, a son. In consoling ourselves through this time of grieving, let us remind ourselves of the words to the song Hulukile by Tshepo Tsula, the village pope, and I quote, "O ne o nkadimile motswalle wa re putsa ka lerato le ha pelo e utlwile botlhoko o entse thato ya hao se o nkadimileng sona ha o re ke se busetse le teng ke sa leka hore ho lokile ho lokile." With those few words, I want to say, may the revolutionary soul of Comrade Mapiti rest in eternal peace and rise in glory. Thank you very much, comrades.
Thank you, Comrade Chair.
Amanda, comrades, I think we are paying a little bit of injustice to the memory of the person who we have all risked our life to navigate the invisible enemy to come and pay tribute to. Because I know if ever with the many thousands of funerals that you would have attended, whether in Mecca, whether in Limpopo, when one of our own has passed on, he would have been singing now. And some of us are not gifted in singing. We will try so that we can be able to honor his name. Amanda! Amanda! Oza, 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 Manda, manda, tate mudisi, te mudisi, te mudisi, tate susulu, te susulu, te susulu, Manda, manda, viva Kosatu, Kosatu, viva! Viva South African Communist Party, South African Communist Party, viva! Unite, Sanko, Sanko, unite! Unite, Sanko, Sanko, unite! Thank you very much, comrades. We are going to have the former chairperson of the ANC in Atteridgeville, one who mentored, guided, raised, and baptized Comrade Mapiti in the politics of ANC, one whom has raised many of us. When comrades come and speak of Comrade Mapiti as the encyclopedia of local government, he would have been schooled in local government by none other than the former chair of the ANC in Atteridgeville, our elder, who also was involved in the re-establishment of the structures of the ANC after the unveiling. Ndade Reeves Mabit. Amanda. Amanda. Long live the spirit of Comrade Matsena, long live. Program Director, hello here. Hello here by the ANC and all the alliance partners. Comrades, I think 2 or 3 speakers have already said that. And in fact, Comrade Chairperson, most of the speakers that have already spoken, by using some of the points I was going to use. But anyway, Mapit, Luhula Mapit, le robile dipelo ka mo go kwanne ditlhoba botlhe gore taba e true e ka ira hela le comrade la o loka la tshwana le Mapiti na. I have had the pleasure and privilege, the honor and privilege ya go bereka le Matsena. Now I have never known Comrade Matsena. The man was so competent, he was diligent, he was reliable. Governance department, executive mayor, Mukacha. And then, for Matsena, department, in spite of the fact that I was the manager, Mapiti was the most efficient. Remember, Mapiti una le legal background too. Mapiti secretarial services. Mapiti is thoroughly au fait with the local government legislation, is thoroughly familiar with the standing rules and orders. So all the time, he's a man I could rely on without any, in fact, I'm more than a delegated member, then up to a point of almost abdicating. He was just too good. If there was a report about the agent, man, because he had this photographic memory, I could ask him, Matsena, man, the mayor will discuss the report. I'm telling you, within a few minutes, he would remember exactly for when did that report serve in council, would be able to produce it, and then I would be able for a key discuss it, Father Mukasha, etc., etc. Mapiti was very, very, very efficient. Now, when I left Mapiti Mola, and I knew he was destined for greater things. Later, he was appointed HOD to Speaker's office. And then lower thing, he did exceptionally well. During that time, Matsena, what the in employed anyway. Mapiti, concurrent to all this, he was also involved in the politics of Tshwane. He has had to face many bracing battles, but Mapiti being Mapiti, he would always overextend his hand of reconciliation and peace because he was always looking for harmony. He was never the one to bear grudges. He was always, in fact, if there's one lesson Mapiti are learning is that forgiveness is the best form of revenge. Because the speaker, what we listened from the youth league right at the beginning, created this scenario where Mapiti was almost poised to become the executive mayor. But for whatever reasons, I end up at Kichilogo. You will never put a good man down. How could they? It is said that the cream will always gravitate to the top. That is why I end up I had that big department with the speaker's office. And then politically, he was getting even more and more grounded. And that culminated, of course, in his election
Kamuhara Harijini as deputy chair, and later, at the time of his untimely death, he lori o seva danungo structure Saudi. Gauteng Provincial Executive Committee. He was a member of the Working Committee as well. And then he served as the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee as SAPS. So, Relusita Holo, comrades, Relusita Holo, I know that Mapiti was destined for greater things in life. His biggest regret, Mapiti, and to discuss, was the unfortunate loss Yachwan for Maravano Mandash. We need to regroup, we need to make sure that we come back, salvage that losses still because in Yachwane, I write the city remains in paralysis. We need to restore image ANC for within the coming elections. Yeah, then Nagere Latin to Babutin, familiar Mapiti Mudima Litis, Avelena, and Mayama Pitu Robalagapos. Thank you.
Amanda. Amanda. Thank you very much, Mapiti. I saw the ANC Regional Secretary coming in. Let us acknowledge him. The former Deputy Chairperson of the ANC Youth League in Gauteng, Comrade Sai. The task which was given to us was that we need to have luminaries, former leaders of the Congress Youth Movement that Comrade Mapiti would have worked with. And also, we needed to actually even invite the alliance partners. Today was the day of the alliance and the Congress Youth Movement. You would remember, Comrade Deputy Chair of the Youth League, Comrade Naben Piri, that in 2016, the Sanko, Comrade Mashishi, led by Comrade Matala and the then acting secretary, Comrade Toshia, they issued a statement of endorsement. And they said that in the contestation of who must become a mayor, they are putting their weight behind the name of Comrade Mapiti David Matsena. The South African Communist Party, led at the time by Comrade Abson Makawu, who later left the movement because of the battles of that time. The fact they broke rank from the instruction of the Provincial Executive Committee and issued a statement which they were actually called to order for, and they issued another one, not apologizing, but re-emphasizing their endorsement of Comrade Mapiti. COSATU under Comrade Kongwan in 2016 issued the statement supporting the name of Comrade David Mapiti Matsena. The ANC Women's League at the time, led by Comrade Stan Club as chairperson and Comrade Gobon Provan, issued a statement of endorsement on supporting the name of Comrade Mapiti to become a mayor in 2016. The ANC Youth League, led by Samshan Vanfela and a bearded guy from Madombija, issued a statement endorsing the name of Comrade Mapiti as the mayoral candidate. I want to demystify this myth that Mapiti was at the center of divisions. Mapiti was answering a call from all alliance partners You can go and check on the records and Google the statements that I'm talking about. These were statements that were released by all alliance partners, including COSATU, which undermined and defied its own resolution never to enter into ANC battles because they believed in the name of Comrade Mapiti. Branches of the ANC in the majority was number one in the list. Whether you want to believe it or you don't want to believe it, that list as it was presented in the list conference, Mapiti Matsena was number one. And when he was told that Cde Mapiti was preferred to leave, because that night we were with him, some of us, he was number one to accept the candidacy of Comrade Cde Mapiti. He told me that Comrade Leseo, it was 12 o'clock at night, the NEC was sitting on a Saturday. And he said to me, let's drive and see Comrade Togo. We called Comrade Togo, we found her crying. And he said to him, to her, Comrade Togo, you must never worry. I'm going to hold your hand. I will support you. Those who are involved in the elections of 2016, they will tell you that every election campaign, whether it was the campaign in the train stations, Mapiti was there at 5 a.m. in the morning. She was always there with Comrade Cde Mapiti. And if to add salt to the wound, when we lost the city, the same people who said Mapiti does not qualify to lead as a mayor called him and they said he must come and become a leader of the ANC in council. We hear a lot of stories. The person who went, I remember, there was a time we went to the public protector's office. It was just the three of us. It was not fashionable. The captain of the ship at the time deserted the ship. Mapiti family remained in opposition benches. It was difficult, comrades. Mapiti was there leading the frontal attack against the Democratic Alliance. Unwavering, unrelenting, confronted the DA until after Soli resigned. It was Mapiti who was there. I remember when we were going to the public protector's office to open the case. A lot of people just disappeared as we were on our way. And he said, oh, I can ask you to come. I remember this case. We went with him. And he accepted his fate as a leader of the ANC in the opposition. I want us to deal with even the speakers. Let's deal with the content of the men that we are talking about. The politics, we can sugarcoat them however way we want to sugarcoat them. But you will never take away from Comrade Mapiti that he was a congressman who accepted the decisions of the ANC. We nearly fought with him one day when we were called by the POB. The REC was called by the POB. We arrived in that meeting to be told about the candidacy of Comrade Togo. Before Paul Machatile could speak, who was the chairperson at the time, the first person to stand up, you can ask any REC member and say, Comrade Togo, there is no need. I've accepted, we will work with Comrade Togo. We took them on and we told them about the incorrectness of that decision. And Comrade Mapiti, as Comrade Reeves, who raised him, has said, he always accepted the tasks that were given to him by the movement, no matter how small or how big those tasks were. He was not one of those where it is them or nothing. If they are not elevated in certain positions, you will never see them. Comrade Mapiti will be there even when it is difficult. As we remember him, let us remember those traits about him. That is what he would have wanted us to actually remember. We are going to have Comrade Beshet Chauke. You will forgive us, comrades. Some of the speakers are not here present with us because we are observing the regulations of COVID-19. We are live on Facebook on the ANC side, the National Executive Committee side. We are live on Cisco WebEx. Comrade Beshet Chauke served and led with Comrade Mapiti in the regional structure of the ANC Youth League when they were in the task team and later when they were elected in the regional executive committee. Comrade Beshet Chauke, I don't know, Comrade Mahal, is he ready? Tambo, Tambo.
Can you hear me, comrades? Hello? Comrade Lesego? Hello? Can you hear me, comrades?
Comrade Beshet, the platform is yours.
Hello?
Hearing you loud and clear. You enter.
Can you hear me?
You may speak.
Comrade Chair?
Comrade Beshet, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello?
You may speak, comrade.
Comrade Beshet, you can speak.
Comrades, if you can hear me, I want to take this opportunity to thank the leadership of the ANC Youth League in Tshwane. It is a privilege and an honor, but also a responsibility to give account of the life and times of Comrade Mapiti Matsena in the Congress Youth League. Revolutionary greetings to all, the leadership of the ANC, the leadership of the Alliance, the leadership of the Progressive Youth Alliance, Comrade President, Comrade Deputy President, former Deputy Presidents of the ANC Youth League, revolutionary greetings to the family of Comrade Mapiti Matsena. I want to speak about David Mapiti Matsena, a comrade of mine. I choose to remember the good times that we had with Comrade Mapiti Matsena. I speak about a comrade that stood out for greatness and achievement. We are here to bid farewell to a giant
of the liberation movement, a humble servant of the African National Congress. The history of the ANC in our lifetime in the seat of power will be incomplete without the name of Cde Mapiti Matsena, known to many as Comrade Pitis, Ubuti Piti, as he was known by those who were close to him. I prefer to call him Wanasesi. He was a man of humor. And as I take you through, I'll also make a good attempt to bring in the humor to represent, for what Mapiti represented. Mapiti was a point of entry for many cadres from other provinces. It made sense, so many would find residents around town where Mapiti was a leader. Many were recruited and groomed by him. Some graduated to be leaders and continued to play a critical role in the agenda of building a nation of a free country, free of oppression of one by the other. I would also want to mention that many comrades also found employment through the assistance of Comrade Mapiti, and their lives became better as a result of Comrade Mapiti's effort. Mapiti understood what it meant to be a servant of the people and a leader of society. When most of us opted to use big English words instead of being simple and practicing what the organization stands for, Mapiti would do it in the most simplest ways of sharing what he has with the people. I'm sure many of you would agree with me when Mapiti, and I just want to make this example, when Mapiti had 500 rands with him and people were crying of hunger, he would always say, "Ngwanasesi, batho ba tshwere ke tlala. Let's share this money. 100 rands will be for petrol, 300 rands re rekele batho dijo, change re tla reka ditshitswana." And that was Mapiti for you. I served with Comrade Mapiti Matsena in the Youth League from 1996 when we were in the Antridgeville branch. Actually, I took over the leadership as chairperson of the branch after Mapiti graduated and was elected at the Regional Executive Committee of the Youth League in Tshwane. A fearless cadre of the movement, Comrade Mapiti Matsena, in 1996, upon joining the branch of Antridgeville ANC Youth League, he participated actively in ensuring that he breathed new life into the ANC Youth League. In 1997, Comrade Mapiti was elected into the branch executive of the Youth Congress movement in Antridgeville. And later on, in 1998-1999, Comrade Mapiti became the chairperson of the Antridgeville branch. At that time, the ANC had taken a resolution to launch ward-based branches. Mapiti led the process of unbundling. He led the process of recruiting new members in the ANC Youth League and ensured that Antridgeville launches its branches. And at that time, I think it was fate. The first branch to launch of the ANC Youth League was in Antridgeville. In 2001, when we went to a conference in Medunsa, Comrade Mapiti was elected into the Regional Executive Committee of the Youth League in Tshwane, a position and a deployment that he served until he was re-elected as the Regional Treasurer of the ANC Youth League in Tshwane. His last days in the Congress Youth League, Comrade Mapiti was redeployed to serve as a regional organizer. It was around that time that young people in the capital city swelled the ranks of the Congress Youth League, a position that Mapiti carried out with dedication and commitment. A fearless leader of the movement, Comrade Mapiti was unshaken. He was that kind of a leader who would speak without fear, without favor. A leader who was able to provide leadership at the most difficult times. A leader who understood what it means to be a leader of society. I'm talking about a man who was reliable, a comrade that the organization can rely on, a sharp mind, and as it was said by Comrade Reeves, he had a photographic mind. When working on documents of the organization, you could rely on Mapiti organizational memory. He was able to articulate policy positions of the organization, revolutionary theory. He was clear. Indeed, he was a resource. He was that kind of a leader who would make a position popular. I'm sure most of you would also attest that some of the positions that Mapiti held or that he was deployed in the organization, you wouldn't remember some of the people that served before him. But after Mapiti served in those positions, he gave impetus, and those positions added value in the organization. After the amalgamation of municipalities in the year 2001, Mapiti was the first amongst the young people who led the branches of the ANC. And I also want to mention that Mapiti became very instrumental. Actually, he was key in establishing ward-based branches and branches in minority areas. The formation and the establishment of the East of Pretoria branches and branches in the Pretoria Central. It was as a result of effort, dedication, and commitment of Comrade Mapiti and comrades that he served with in that time. Very few would know Mapiti played a role, a central role in establishing and the formation of ANC Youth League branches in tertiary institutions. When the ANC took a decision to establish branches in tertiary institutions, Comrade Mapiti was the first one to hear the call and agreed on a deployment in Medunsa, and subsequently launched Medunsa as our first branch in an institution of higher learning. This is evident. Ke bopaki ba gore Comrade Mapiti Matsena was a committed cadre of the movement, a selfless revolutionary, a person of humor. Mapiti epitomized reconciliation and forgiveness. He would treat friends and foe alike because he understood what it means to be members of the ANC and serve in the same movement. I choose to remember Comrade Mapiti Matsena as a comrade who dedicated his life to bettering the lives of others. Condolences to the mass democratic movement as a whole. Condolences to the family kaofela. It is said that those we love continue to live in our hearts. Hamba kahle mkhombati, hamba kahle mkhondo. Sepela botse ngwana sesi. Dumelisha Peter Mokaba, Paxman Kahlane, Andrew Phala, George Masango, Jones Ngosini, Albert Ramahuma, Komiki Mutubatsi, Sipho Komane, Thabo Matlala, Castro More, le ba bangwe ba lwela tokologo ba re šomileng le bona. O ba botse gore mokgatlo wa rena o tsenetse ke metsi. Metsi a tsene ka ntlong. The enemy is within. We are in the eye of a storm. Without you, Comrade Mapiti Matsena, the organization is poorer. Without you, Comrade Mapiti Matsena, the masses are poorer. The working class is poorer. The disenfranchised are poorer. Long live the undying spirit of Comrade Mapiti Matsena, long live. I thank you.
Of the ANC in Gauteng and the colleague of Comrade Mapiti in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, Comrade Matume Chilwa. Mandla. Mandla. Long live the entire spirit of Comrade Mapiti Matsena, long live. Thank you, Comrade. I don't want to be long. I think let me begin by just greeting leadership. I believe that the NEC member of the ANC and former president of the Youth League, Comrade also should be listening, and also the leadership of the province of the ANC that are here. I saw quite a few of them. I would not want to name them by name, but I saw Comrade Kidiboni, Comrade Ezra, the leadership of the ANC, the region. I saw the regional secretary briefly, the former leaders of all structures, the current leaders of all structures, that including Posatu, including Sanko,
including the ECCP. Comrades, thank you very much. Thank you to the leadership of the Youth League of Tshwane for such an important program or initiative to honor the life of Comrade Matsena. Comrades, when you speak about Comrade Matsena, you can speak the whole day. You know, when you speak about Comrade Mapiti Matsena, in the ANC there are two types of leaders. There's a leader that we just call each other every day, leader, but there's a principal leader. When we speak about a principal leader, we're speaking about a leader that you've all been touched by their existence. All of us here sitting, we've been touched by Comrade Mapiti Matsena in one form or the other. And that is a principal leader. A leader that defines the whole purpose of being a member and a revolutionary. And that's what Comrade Mapiti was. I spent the last few years, his last few years, very close myself and Comrade Mapiti. I think in the past 2 years we've been serving together in the PC of the ANC and PWC. And you know, when I heard the news, I couldn't believe. You know, not because of the recent discussions, telephonic discussions I might have had with Comrade Matsena, but the memories of the type of cadre he was. Comrade Mapiti grew up as a cadre who never personalized the cause of a revolution. He understood that a revolution is not an idea that you possess as an individual, but he knew that a revolution is a collective process, that the collective idea will dominate and take the center stage and cause, irrespective of how that made him feel. There are many times I was speaking to the provincial center of the ANC, Comrade Power, that there were items in the PEC where myself and Comrade Mapiti will not agree on. And we'll sit very close together. I know his chair. He was always in front of me. It's either I speak first or I speak first, depending on how the chairperson on the day felt we should speak first. And post those meetings, we'd call each other and laugh for an hour or two on how we disagreed. But those comrades who perhaps were disagreeing on their interest would be quite upset, would be quite personal, you know, would be quite petty if I can do that, you know. So, but Comrade Mapiti and myself would be laughing. Very much. I heard your point, you know, and at the most, what I appreciated the most, opportunity to learn from a leader like Comrade Mapiti on what it takes to be a leader of the ANC, what it takes to sacrifice in the interest of the greater cause as a leader of the ANC. And that's what Comrade Mapiti epitomized. Especially Comrade Mapiti spoke earlier when I was here. And I remember that period quite well. It was a quite difficult period, especially for the comrades and members and the people of Tshwane. And that period, even today, still defines the state of politics in Tshwane, the state of the residents of Tshwane. That period, I don't want to say at the time, the ANC leadership collective at the time could have taken a better decision. But what I would want to say, they could have been honest to the decision of the branches of the ANC. Perhaps we'll be speaking a different story. You know, perhaps the state of Tshwane, of the ANC in Tshwane would be different. Perhaps the residents, the people of Tshwane's fortunes would have been different. We don't know. But at that time, the wisdom of the time arose. And I was one of those based on the mandate that I received, because at the time I sat in the PC by virtue of ex officio, and the youth league at the time of Tshwane was very clear. Say, in that meeting, this is the view we are going to hold. And indeed, we gave it our, we did put our position quite clearly. In honoring Comrade Mapiti, as I conclude, because of time, the first thing that I feel that comrades we should do, especially comrades of Tshwane and the ANC in Tshwane, let's close the ranks, comrades. The state of Tshwane, ANC, is quite sad. We can't be where we are. The differences in the ANC in Tshwane is affecting the people of Tshwane, those who are ordinary people of Tshwane. The inability of the city of Tshwane to service the poor of the poorest is an indictment on the ANC in Tshwane, also obviously in all structures, higher and below. Let's close the ranks, comrades. Comrade Mapiti's dream was to have a united Tshwane. That I knew very well, because we would always speak about it. That in Tshwane, the day we wake up, Tshwane sings in one song. That Tshwane, that would have risen above the names. The Tshwane ANC can't be divided on names, on motto, libitso la motto, divide that rich. It cannot be. Let us rise, let us close rank, let us unite this region to honor Comrade Mapiti Matsena's legacy and many others. We owe it to him, we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to the ANC, we owe it to the people of Tshwane to close rank and ensure that Tshwane goes back to its former glory. And that is not a responsibility of the leadership collective of the day. It's a responsibility of every member of the ANC in Tshwane. Let us close ranks. It is possible. It has been done before. You don't need the president of the ANC to come down and unite you. You don't need Comrade Makura to come down and unite you. You need yourself consciously to say, this is enough. This is where we are going to go. We are reorganizing Tshwane. Tshwane is a very important area in the history of the ANC. It's the capital city of the country. It is an indictment on this revolution that we are pursuing when it's in this current state. I cannot overemphasize the importance of closing ranks. Let us go back to the basics. Let us go and unite ourselves. Let us rise above names. I don't owe anyone a favor. I don't want to be owed a favor. I don't want to be supported. I want Tshwane to be one region that is led by the ANC, that is united in all layers. That is the dream that Comrade Mapiti had, and that is the legacy and the dream and the honor that we can give a cadre like Comrade Mapiti, who believed in unity. Comrade Mapiti was not petty. He was not personal. He never personalized politics. He never took things to heart. He understood it's okay to differ. It's okay not to agree. It's okay not to see things in one eye. It's okay. And so long as at the end of the day, the interest of the ANC takes supreme, then that's fine. And that is the critical legacy that Comrade Mapiti would have wanted. I think with those few words, comrades, let me appreciate the opportunity. I'm quite sad. You know, I've been thinking very hard, what am I going to be saying about Comrade Mapiti? But I felt I should just be honest about what was important to Comrade Mapiti. And the ANC in Tshwane was very important to Comrade Mapiti. He loved comrades, he loved the ANC, he loved the ANC in Tshwane. It was his life, and there is no better way to express his life by honoring him, by ensuring that we bring back the ANC in Tshwane to its former glory. Thank you so much. Manda!
Mandla. Mandla. Yeah, we're moving swiftly, comrades. We're moving swiftly. We're going to quickly call the former deputy chair, Comrade Simon Molefe, all the way from West Rand. He's a friend of Comrade Mapiti. They've served together. Comrade Sai.
My man, there was a kitchen girl, my father. My man, there was a kitchen girl, my father. That's why. Come on, that's why. My mama was a kitchen, my father. That's why. Come on, that's why. Amanda, comrades. I want to send my condolences to the family of Comrade Mapiti, which many years ago it also became my family. That's why I know Kumuhuki. It's ever quite such feeling. In the same way, Comrade Mapiti knows Kura Stenbeck, Kwapi, Rico High, and some of my family members. Myself and Comrade Mapiti met in the early 90s. And later we worked very close when the former Buputatwana parts of Tshwane were brought back to Tshwane. And we were given a responsibility to relaunch ANC Youth League one-based branches in Tshwane. In 2003, when I was the organizer of the Youth League, we were deployed in Tshwane to come and work in the planning meeting of organizing of the ANC, when we had to be booked places. Myself, Comrade Papi, who was the Deputy Secretary of the Youth League and the provincial organizer at some point, Comrade Mapiti said to us, the ANC can't spend money to book in hotels when we, comrades in Tshwane, have houses. You, comrades, will stay in my house. That all of us who are leaders, our resources that we have are meant to be shared to achieve the goals of the strategy and tactics of the ANC. He understood that you can't be an active leader of the movement who can share your monthly salary with anyone in the community. You must be worried that you get paid every month and there's not even R1 that you give to a PC member or any other ordinary community member to help.
Comrade Mapiti taught me one thing on supporting each other. Many comrades in China, he will call and say, Comrade Sai, can you please help me? There is a comrade who have lost an auntie in Kiani. He or she does not have resources. Can we help? We call him on Saturday. He says, I'm in Kiani, but I'll be coming back. That's a kind of a character that the movement has lost. And sometimes we will want to say, we wish we could have WhatsApp God and say, God, we know you want an ANC person. Why can't we send you this character and leave this character to us? Unfortunately, God also doesn't want these wrong characters that we don't want. God too wants clean characters. Comrade, last week Wednesday, around this time, I received a call from Comrade Mapiti to say he's in Krugersdorp. I must come and see him. And I went to see him. We spent 1 hour, 2 hours together. And around 20 to 9, he left, coming to his house. Before he leaves, he says to me, why don't we chill? And then I said to him, but we are not allowed to chill because of regulations. And then he says, no, but we can chill and talk politics without oros. And we agreed that we will chill without oros. And then around 22, he still said, but maybe let's get a place to be together. And I said to him, you know, Comrade Mapiti, any day when you made a commitment of your wife, I said, I'm going to support you. And a minute when I approve you to sleep in Krugersdorp with me, not being your wife, it means I'm no more supporting you. I want to request that I release you, and me and you tomorrow, 1 o'clock, we can have more time and spend time together. In the morning on Thursday, I felt very guilty. I felt very guilty to say, had we spent time, but equally, if we had spent time even with me coming late or it doesn't come, the criminal will have still done a bad thing in the house. So we don't know God's plan, but the kid had a feeling. So I want to say to him, my brother, as the last person that you were with, you were in a jolly mood, not drinking, happy, speaking about the ANC and what to be done. And I even remember jokingly with you with your deployment. And then you said it in Spanish, therefore I can't say it. He says, as Kirknowood or the movement make decisions, and most of us must accept movement decisions. And I say today, Comrade Mapiti was what the ANC stood for. He also understood how to reconcile with comrades who had different positions, different views on leadership. So one of the things that Comrade Mapiti excelled on, when he was deployed in the West Rand, and he says, my friend, I know you lost in the conference, but I want you to find it in your heart to accept the results and accept to be led. Vuma ukuphathwa xa uphethe nawe ngelinye ilanga bazavuma ukuthi uphethe. So how many of us today do we accept those who are leading and respect the work that they are supposed to do? We can all be leaders. The only way of reconciling the ANC is by first starting to accept to be led and support those who are leading. Equally, those who are leading, always make those who contested with you, give them the task. Because the fact that they contest you, it means there were few comrades who know their capacity. Use them as subcommittees of the ANC. There are different tasks. Even if there's a funeral, there's nothing wrong to give another kid a responsibility to look on other logistics so that we share responsibility. We owe it to those who paid the highest price of death and sacrifice. One other key thing that Comrade Mapiti stood for, Comrade Mapiti never enjoyed any comrade suffering, including those who have differed with him to late. Those comrades, when he was in the secretary, when he was the secretary of Tshwane in the municipality, he used to, when we have programs of the province, and say, no, Chana, this kid, just find a way. Something yana bakono bashabu. Family are prepared. When you go to all informal settlement, you go with him, you will call and say, social development, can we help these people? So all what he always stood for was for the next person. We were once in Tshwane, in the rally of the ANC in Atteridgeville. So after the rally, there was the issue of the language, and Comrade Mapiti said to one business guy and says, I hear you want to go and have lunch with me. What about my other comrades? And many of us, when we get in these positions, we think that we are now VIPs. We must be treated in that context. But he never allowed that status to change him. What is remaining behind us is to say, comrades, he did his part. What legacy do we take from Comrade Mapiti's work? Are we continuously going to be complaining but not doing anything? Our task is not what the country can do for me or what the ANC can do for me. Our task must always be, what is it that I can contribute to the life and the success of the ANC? The life and the success of the ANC must not be seen within you. We will see the life of the ANC through the people. And in the explanation of Mtate Moses Kotane, a revolution that is not led by the people is not a revolution. When he was asked what is the revolution, he said the revolution is about. And it's even within the ANC, those who are deployed in government, on the township economy and any other thing that we want to advance. The schools, all these programs, you can't advance the programs that the people are not leading. Even this COVID itself, the people are yet to lead the COVID challenge. It's led by the leadership, and when the leadership is leading any challenge without the people, the results are going to be negative. So it's within us, those who are in government and the ordinary members of the movement, to take responsibility of all the challenges and lead them correctly so that we can advance. And that's why I'm raising even the issue of the township economy, because many comrades today, they ridicule, they say, no, there's nothing like radical economic transformation. It does not exist. It's wrong. That's wrong. That's rubbish. How do you readdress the imbalances of the past without advancing the black agenda? And you want to clarify us a non-racialism. Why is non-racialism says the other must be oppressed, the others must be rich? It can't be. And I know that Comrade Mapiti understood what is this thing of a black agenda that must be achieved. Many of us were apologetic on readdressing the imbalances of the past. So I want to say to Comrade Mapiti, sleep well, my brother. See you in the morning. I have expected to see you the following day. I never accepted to see you today in your photo, very absent in your house, but spiritually with us. Comrade Mapiti, we love you, my brother. Helele selo kukubi, helele selo bandamanya, helele selo kukubi, helele selo bandamanya, helele selo, helele selo bandamanya, helele selo.
Mandla. Oh, wait, two. Mandla. All power. Comrades, we are really behind time. I'm also looking at, it's getting dark. So we're going to consider a few things, comrades. We've got comrades of Mawika and Toshangue who are supposed to come and but because of our program, obviously, this has dealt with them a bit. So we're going to quickly ask for comrades Tepo and Matuntu to come and speak. Just quickly, comrades, because we know how close you were with Comrade Mapiti, how you related with him. We're going to allow you to quickly come and speak, send your revolutionary messages and condolences to the family. And then quickly we're going to get Comrade President, former President Malusi Gigaba to come and close the program. Before that, Comrade Stephen Goben, the former Deputy Secretary General of the ANC League, is also going to speak. And then President Malusi therefore will then close. Comrade Matuntu and Saba.
Thank you, Program Director. Amanda, comrade Raleigh was what I'm still feeling. And Raleigh will apologize and social move, comrade. Because the program comes to you in that thing, comrade Changi. Everyone sits there, or gets at the line. I'm going to find that our program it changed. So, I apologize to the comrades for seeing it. So, I see issue the so, comrade Kiwana is not a social way we understood. So, no, comrade program change. Comrades, on behalf of social movement, comrades, Comrade Mapiti was a leader, not only in the ANC, was a leader also in community. Comrades, families around social movement, around Swan, they've lost a leader. Comrade Mapiti, family ni sarvali saja. Comrade Mapiti no pala as naselo. They just make means for the family diaja. Comrade Mapiti, what we are known as the deputy secretary in the province. We went to provincial conference. We negotiated with other regions. Comrade Mapiti was voted to be an additional member. But Comrade Mapiti spirit is high. Comrades are as an additional member. Comrade Mapiti are no Regen Negelva Legadilot. Comrade Mapiti, we like it you as chairperson. Yamla, comrades. The people who organize this, because once you are phoned to Comrade Mapiti talk of it, one no should come on your friends, the face of our Comrade Mapiti will like to politics. So Rebo Hamlao, Ushumolu Dilum over the for a suspect. So that Rena as community, as the comrade of the ANC, re khone moya ya rena o go fase and re tlo kopela rena comrades of the ANC le setšhaba a re feng molao o dieng mošomo ba lelapa la Matsena re lla le lena le latlhetswe le rena re mokgatlo wa ANC. Mapiti was the leader, was the father to all of us. Ke bolela le yena Comrade Mapiti on Sunday before to tlhokofala. I'm phonetse I'm botsa gore no comrade Tshwara tla le wa re bona comrade Spoots ene o go ditse mošomo. So comrade Tshwara tla tswantse re nna re bolele mona kgale ke sa o bona. So I'm going to find that I phone le ba moharabe ke bosigo ke phone la ke comrade one of our comrade am botsa comrade Mapiti o tlhokofetse. A ka re ba la bosigo comrade motho le re close le yena and le motho le re itse role model ke motho le re dilo tse ntse di bona mo yena gore ka ba ntshwara ke paletse le go tla mo the following day because I got phela pele since comrade Mapiti had so rena re latlhetswe and ke wela hape ke program director re khopela tshwarelo ke a leboga.
No, re a leboga ntate Tshwara. Thanks, my brother.
Thanks, Program Director. Viva Mawika, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva Sanko, Sanko, viva! Viva Kosatu, Kosatu, viva! Viva ANC Youth League, viva! Viva ANC Women's League, viva! Mata! Thanks, comrades. It was short. Due to affect their program, but I'll put facts on the table and say three things about Comrade Mapiti. One, Comrade Mapiti in governance. That's what we call Cde development, comrades. Comrade Mapiti that drone with some from our region, Yatswan, Tamara, our municipality. Most of our comrades were identified by Comrade Mapiti to come and work in the municipality. We know it's a fact that those comrades who we deploy in the municipality, they just start to disappear as if they don't know what a particularly ANC. I won't shy away to say, Comrade Mapiti, most of our youth, most of our community members within the region, because of Comrade Mapiti. This is a serious gap. Comrades. There is clear development to assist our own comrades or our own community. They just disappear. And it's happening even now, right now, within the very same region where we are in now. My comrades people just finish. More like it's on a very move to the second point. The second point is social responsibility of Comrade Mapiti. Any community owner the funeral. The office of the speaker, the way supposed to be functioning. Comrade Mapiti is going to direct to the full to ensure there is a proper funeral for our own comrades. That's how we comrades. We ensure our comrades like the way the province is doing. Comrade Mapiti is not Comrade Mapiti so or one other something, one other functions within our zones. Comrade Mapiti nata. That's what the federal also said. Nanga vote to like others when they come and just disappear. Then nobody vote. And it won't happen. We two dealers can comrades. We have land and we know them. And we are still busy as a zone Yamawiga. We are still busy as a region one social to identify those comrades. But Baba Gregisan just to ensure that and not assisting our own comrades. And it's happening right now as I'm speaking. I don't want to speculate or say names to those comrades, but we are watching you what you are doing in Swan. Because of Swan, it belongs to Swanis. Swan, it will never be. Let me rest assured we are coming, comrades. Service deliveries was done the way it was done before I issued our DA. I'm sorry to say these things, program. But this is the right platform for us to say these things. This is the right platform for us to say these things. Who's leading in Swan now? No one from Swan is leading. And we are fighting amongst ourselves. This must stop, comrades. Let us unite one. This is our own comrades. On a political point, our branches, if our ladies quibbles and quarrels and we don't agree, Comrade Mapiti was a good intervener. He was a good intervener, comrade. What's what really comrade say Homola say? What's what really comrade say Homola a leader? Why don't you share these positions? About unity. That's how we want this comrades. We know. They can go to conference, so we know Comrade Mapiti will say his words, a mindful one, and then we'll understand or no. Rebatang comrades. Comrade Mapiti for effect, Rebata provincial secretary. Our chief Louis within this one. Rebita, the other regions, level comrade, the solo comrade, but at least. But there are handle Lamo positioning. There is like tactics in terms of approach. The winner conference. I handle the comrade Mapiti Moga Ravetwa. Ladies and gentlemen, one of us like Agape. There's a kiss of them. There's a woman I do something 50-50. We can't be seen. Ray, not content the woman, Mona Rove. Achiman Lamo position in Corode, no, and Naga, I think I do Baba Handel Lamo, no, I tell him, why didn't you get that today? No, what's the one type of finalize and comrades? The matter comrade Mapiti was finalized 80 hours of the money. Reference on comrade Mapiti, Tatana money additionals. And our strategy will change, our tactics change, our approach towards this conference. Our list it will through. Next time I'm showing you private club. It was a private club. That approach, we can check. And comrade Mapiti, I don't have to hope that 3 months to someone yet. Or comrade of the one, comrade is over Usuya, for Assam for the medical digging house of the homophobia, the same approach is a comrade Mapiti. I'll change it. So, Nigga go on my comrade up to them pay. Unity, Aquani, unity. Unity, Aquani, unity. Amanda.
Manda, viva ANC, viva. We are going to start until it's well. Nalandi bulletin really line up below a generation of Papa and the League Yabaswa, former Deputy President Begin Kosi, former Deputy Secretary General Comrade Stephen Ngobeni, and other comrades, Comrade Virginia Bele, who was in the REC with Comrade Mapiti. I want to apologize, comrades. I profusely apologize. The government that they will send us the eulogies, we'll publish them, we'll also slot them in the program. Also, look at Memorial Service or Women's League. But Memorial Service or ANC on Wednesday. The Youth League, the Women's League, the alliances are not going to speak. It will only be ANC leaders that will speak. That's why we have segmented this. So, Nakopela, Comrade Malusi Gaba, Comrade Tangi. We are going to be listening to him on speaker. Those who are on Facebook, he's there. I also wanted to tell you that there's over 16,000 people who are following my ANC page, watching this memorial service. So, there are people who are, because of COVID, who are following this particular live stream. So, Nekopela, Comrade Melusiki Gaba, Comrade President. Comrade Tangi will introduce Comrade Melusiki Gaba. Comrade Tangi is a national task team member of the Youth League and also an REC member. So total Comrade Gigaba, and then they will have Comrade Regional Secretary of the ANC, Comrade Eugene Modise, then the Dokopela family level, then we close. They have 15 minutes. We have 15 minutes to depart. Thank you.
Manta. Viva Comrade Malusi Gigaba, viva. Right, we all know Comrade Malusi Gigaba. He started his activism in the ANC in 1989. That's how old he is, or young. Comrade Malusi, the former president of the ANC Youth League, a structured organization that Comrade Mapiti dedicated his life to serving up until he graduated when he turned 35. Comrade, I'm going to allow Comrade President to come and to actually speak. We're just going to connect him. Can I connect on your phone? President, are you ready?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, comrades, and thank you very much for the honor presented to me to pay tribute to Comrade Mapiti, with whom we had the privilege to serve the youth movement and subsequently the African National Congress itself. I would like to take this opportunity to convey my heartfelt condolences as well as greetings to the family of Comrade Mapiti, to the comrades with whom he worked even more closely, and his friends, to his neighbors, his relatives. I would like to greet the former Deputy President of the ANC Youth League, Comrade Nkosi, as well as the former Deputy Secretary General, and the different leaders of the organization serving in different structures, the ANC Youth League, the Women's League, Communist Party, COSATU, SANCO, and at different levels of these organizations. I greet you all, comrades, on this sad occasion of the commemoration of the life of Comrade Mapiti. I think many of us would not have wished for this moment, that we meet to memorialize the life of Comrade Mapiti, because in more ways than one, he seemed larger than life. We did not expect that his life would be cut short so early, and that we would face the prospects of the future and the struggles attendant to that future without his forceful and influential presence. But fate has determined that this should be so. We therefore come here this evening to pay tribute to one of our own, to somebody who in the movement served at different levels, served our people during the most difficult times, and never questioned the movement as to why he should serve where he was delegated to serve. Comrade Mapiti belonged to our generation. It is a generation that is distinguishable in two ways. In the first way, we are a generation that came of its own in the 80s. In the roaring 80s, when the movement decided to make apartheid ungovernable and render its institutions of power unworkable. We are a generation Oliver Tambo described as the young lions of the revolution. We are a generation that faced the beast of apartheid towards its demise. I could say, in a way, we are a generation that, more than any other in history, was most brutalized. Our generation faced death every day. We confronted violence at every street. We confronted violence in every township, every rural area, every village, every informal settlement. But it's a violence we understood that we could not get away from. We are a generation that knew that in order to defeat the beast of apartheid, we had to commit extraordinary feats of struggle. We had to be more brave than the word brave, not because we ourselves were naturally fearless, but because we overcame our fear and knew that in order to win against this system, which was on its final days, we had to be as fearless as we became. But the second distinguishing character of our generation was that we were the generation that was the first and only generation of youth to exist during the transition from apartheid to democracy. And so as we entered those periods, we found ourselves having on many occasions to try to define the role of youth in the struggle and to try to reconceptualize the struggle itself under new conditions. So we've gone through the tumultuous events and episodes of the transition and had to try to find ourselves so that we can sow the seeds for those who come after us to know what is it that is expected of younger generations during the democratic dispensation. The ANC Youth League that Comrade Mapiti belonged to engaged in very serious political and ideological debates. Perhaps the 1996 Congress of the Youth League was the Congress that first sowed the seeds of renewal as it grappled with what the role of the ANC Youth League would be during the democratic dispensation. An organization which for more than 50 years had been established to fight apartheid colonialism now had to face the challenge of existing in a democratic dispensation when its entire organizational machinery and political thinking had been for more than 50 years geared towards destroying and defeating the apartheid system. The 1996 Congress said to us, we need to adopt an approach of confrontation and cooperation with the new government. It said we need to fight for the socio-economic and political rights of young people as vociferously as was necessary, but at the same time to acknowledge that we are doing that under new conditions when the African National Congress itself was now the government. We had to continue with these debates even after that Congress for many, many years. And many of the decisions that we had to take, including establishing structures of the ANC Youth League in tertiary institutions, which Comrade Mapiti spearheaded, were informed by this effort by the organization at large, not only the leadership, but the branches of the ANC Youth League, to redefine the ANC Youth League, to renew it, to reorient it. Comrade Mapiti took to this effort with great effort, energy, and intellectual vigor. He was found at the forefront of this effort to re-establish the ANC Youth League as a potent force for revolutionary change under new conditions. We did not want our organization to die. We did not want it to die in our hands. We wanted the ANC Youth League to regain its prestige, the prestige it had enjoyed particularly in the 40s and 50s, and the prestige it came back with from the international arena, that it was a militant and yet disciplined force for change. And so we pay tribute tonight to a comrade who, when others decided in the 90s to slow down their participation in the struggle, he chose to continue immersing himself in the struggle, both at organizational as well as governance levels. Mapiti's concerns for the oppressed ran deep, and he believed that all the problems that our people faced stemmed from the existence of apartheid, of colonialism, and in the present conditions of neo-colonialism. He knew that freedom, political freedom on its own was not enough. But it was a necessary condition to advance the socio-economic conditions of our people. It was a necessary condition to advance the social revolution, which would change colonial social and economic relations and totally emancipate the oppressed. The lesson that he left us with was therefore that we must be uncompromising in pursuing radical economic transformation. I know that there are many comrades who are arguing that radical economic transformation is a ploy to loot the resources of the state. I want to argue that we need to refuse to accept this narrative that seeks to delegitimize the genuine interests of the oppressed. We didn't struggle for our people only to satisfy themselves with living in RDP houses, to be recipients of free basic services, and to be recipients of the largesse that white monopoly capital is only willing to give them or share with them. And so it's necessary for us that we should intensify the struggle to change the social and economic relations of colonialism by laying claim to land, to productive assets of our country, so that we change the conditions of the black majority as junior partners in the economic sphere and make them genuine equals in the political and economic sphere, who own the productive assets of their country in which they were born. This, I think, would be the biggest tribute we make to Comrade Mapiti, so that future generations will remember the current generations of youth for not stopping the struggle midway, but accomplishing the objective of decolonizing South African society. I want to say to Comrade Mapiti's family that we may not be able to fathom the pain and the sadness you are carrying. We may not be able, with words alone, to take away your grief. But we are with you during this difficult time. Be comforted by the fact that thousands and millions of us are with you. And Comrade Mapiti's stature was not of a local and regional leader, but of a national leader. And the country is with you during this difficult time. You must be comforted. We wish him to rest in peace. And Sitigini Agwehlanga Ngihlile. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. Thank you very much, Comrade President. And we also applaud the discipline of those who were scheduled to speak, but because of time they could not. We're going to move very quickly. We are going to ask the Regional Secretary, Comrade Eugene Murisa. Please note that the memorial service is a virtual memorial service. There's 15,000 to 16,000 people who are viewing it on Cisco WebEx YouTube page or Facebook page. So you are not speaking to the people only in the tent, Comrade. You are speaking to people who are outside, across in all provinces. Comrade Regional Secretary.
Amanda, Mata, all power. Thank you, Program Director, and the entire crew for the sterling work. In the interest of time and adhering to the request by the family to adjourn the program by 6 o'clock, I would like to say thank you very much, comrades from Mawika and Toshanguve, for exercising discipline and being understanding. We would like to appreciate everybody who packed their commitments and ensure that they come to show respect to Comrade Mapiti. There will never be enough time to respect Comrade Mapiti. But at any rate, comrades, I would like to say, when we leave here, please go straight home. There's already complaints from the opposition parties that we are undermining the regulations and we are doing as we please. As disciplined comrades of the movement, please, 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 I'm begging you, please let's go home. Thank you very much. We'll ensure that if there's adjustment on the program, the team which is led by Comrade Leseo in terms of communication, we share the communication in time and accordingly. Amandla!
Thank you very much, Comrade Gareth. We are going to ask the family representatives, Mogino Runandi TV, so vote of thanks, and then we close the program. We'll close it with prayer. I will pray.
Amanda, don't leave the spirit of Mapiti Matsena, don't leave. Comrade, Kina Abel Matsena, more the Raton that family. I like to quote what normally Mapiti used to say. He said, create a peace. Once you create that peace, maintain it. Because some people normally create a peace, but they don't maintain it. I don't remember Mapiti having any problem with individual. He likes to see things running smooth. And also he likes to say, what if Opela who created a legacy that somebody will look after it? That's one of the things that Mapiti left us with. And also you can see in other sectors or department. He was also a helping hand in the family, a man that likes to see not people sleeping hungry. That's one of those things. And Mapiti never used his position at home so that you can see. He was down to earth so that you will never even feel that is what kind of a proper person you are dealing with. And the program, the memorial service is tomorrow. It will be same like this one visual. The other one will be at legislator. The other one will be at 2 o'clock. And Thursday we'll have a short service here. Our brother will come here, we'll lay him here. He won't enter at home as you understand the culture and custom. Then after it will be a motor gate from here to Hammanskraal. Then those who are carrying on to Limpopo, they will carry on. And the people from Polokwane, they will take over from that side. And also today was the first day, as you cannot see me, I was at the court. The court was the first appearance of the suspect is postponed to 24 August. And also, as one of the speakers already mentioned, please guys, let's try to comply with the COVID restriction. As you can see what happened from one of the funeral at Soshanguve for Brian. People were taking some videos, and after that, the funeral, there were most of people they were being arrested. I would like to advise you, whatever you're taking as your social media, you are putting your life in danger. Please avoid to take such video that will show that we're already breaking the COVID restriction. As minimum personnel is 50 to 100, but that was more than that. And the funeral will be Friday starting 7 o'clock, 7:30, and 9:30 will depart to the cemetery. And please also, we need to comply with the restriction that were being assigned for the funeral arrangement. I know all of us, we want to be the funeral, but please, there will be different platforms where you can see the funeral. Let's try to comply. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That will be the end of the memorial service. Maybe we can close with a word of prayer. I don't know. Somebody say, can you pray or should I pray? Maybe. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Father, for all the speakers. We thank you, Father, for their wisdom, their guidance, their memos, their lived experiences, their testimonies that they would have borne with us as they interacted with the deceased. We pray, Father, for the spirit of the comforter to be with the family, his children, his wife, and to be with us, comrades, and those whom he touched as he lived his life. We thank you, Father, for his life, which was exemplary, as he was an instrument in your hand to change and to transform the lives of the people.
We ask you, Father, that you may be with us and protect and defend us from the invisible enemy. And we pray, Father, you may also be with the family of our departed Councillor Matembi. Bless them that they may also be comforted. And we pray for all this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. No, I can pray for it.
No. They're going to go out of the I'm going to
Danke. 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 Dr. I think you can just end the event.